Hello and welcome to Hackerang TV. This is your host Adil Bandukwala. Today I'm stoked to bring to you someone from a company I've been admiring for years. A company in which creativity is deep rooted in their DNA. Their game changing innovations are redefining the possibilities of all things digital experiences. They connect content and data and introduce new tech that democratizes creativity, shapes the next generation of storytelling, and inspires entirely new categories of businesses. You guessed it right. I'm talking about Adobe. Businesses across the world count on Adobe today to help them meet the challenges of digital transformation. With Adobe Experience Cloud, businesses can harness their data and deliver personalized experiences that drive business growth and customer loyalty. And to discuss a lot of how Adobe makes all of this possible, we've got a very special guest with us today. Amitabh Misra, Vice President Engineering Experience Cloud at Adobe. Amitabh leads a global R&D org of over 800 plus product engineers in India, Europe, and the United States. He's responsible for driving roadmap execution and strategy for multiple product areas of Adobe Experience Cloud with over $3.8 billion plus in annual revenue. Talk about a large revenue pie. He manages multiple senior directors, principal scientists running AI and ML lab and products, including Campaign Journey, Optimizer, Marketo, which is something that we use, AEM assets, forms, site, dynamic media, and the Adobe Experience platform. Welcome to HackerRank TV, Amitabh. We'd love to hear a little more about your background, a bit about what Adobe does in general, and a lot more about what Adobe Digital Experience does.
Thank you, Adil. You have kind words to say. And, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to be with all of you. And I hope I can share the thoughts and you find them valuable, as well as I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have later. But to begin with, and set the context a little bit about my background. I am basically a techie at heart, and the first 12 years, 10 to 12 years of my experience were just coding and building large platforms. So large platforms is what I have done all my life. The first 12 13 years of my career were in the Silicon Valley, and then I moved to India about 10 years back and started my journey as CEO of Snapdeal, where from scratch we built that entire platform in India on a very, shoestring budget, a very small team, cloud native, which we were the first of our scale, and we very successfully executed on technology on that front, followed by a little bit of time on doing my own startup, which was in travel space, a three-way marketplace, a phenomenal product, and we got to 100 crore revenue. And then for the last 4.5 years or so, I've been at Adobe running digital experience R&D in India. So that's my journey. I have been in startups a great deal, and I have also worked in large companies. So I have seen 0 to 1 journey in startups, sometimes even 1 to 10, and maybe larger in startups. And Adobe, of course, is a large company and with a large tech stack. So I've also worked with similar large corporations, and I've seen transformations of established products as well as simulation of new products. So I've seen both the challenges and have been fortunate to be part of success stories on both sides. Now, a little bit about Adobe. Adil talked, about that. Adobe in the tech world has arrived with a bang and continues to grow from where it used to be 2 decades back, a document productivity company, to then creative, and dominating that world of creative products for creative professionals around the world, to the new business unit. Well, new in Adobe means at least more than a decade back, but that of digital experience, where a lot of online technologies that help B2B, especially in B2B SaaS world, are Fortune 500 companies and all other large corporations in all parts of the world give great digital experience to their customers. Thereby, we end up serving hundreds of millions of end users through our products. A digital experience, like I said, is the new business unit, and it has huge promise. It has a very big TAM, and we are leaders in a large number of, I think, about 40 plus of analysts segments across the board. And some of the categories we created, like the Experience Cloud category. And our products are mostly around data and insights, content and commerce, and customer journey management. So that, in a nutshell, is what we do. And happy to share more thoughts.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Amitabh. Lovely introduction. Super excited to be speaking to you about how we're going to talk about how we're unveiling the next frontier in Adobe's Experience Cloud today. But before I do that, I think there are a lot of people who joined. What was fascinating was more than 3,300 plus developers signed up to be notified about this live stream. And as we're going live, we're broadcasting live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, all these platforms. What's really cool to see is there are already over 100 plus comments on LinkedIn. I haven't tracked the other platforms. And then there are 54 plus reposts of people who are already sharing this to their networks. So thank you everyone for tuning in. And for all those developers who tuned in, I saw a very interesting comment. There is a developer who signed up all the way from Japan. So, hey, konnichiwa. Thank you for coming in all the way from Japan. Very happy that you've tuned in at this odd hour for you. And for all of us from across the world, wherever you're tuning in from, go ahead and type a city and the country that you're tuning in from so that we can tell Amitabh where all you are, which all parts of the world, and where you're coming from. And I can kind of relay that as we kind of go on. And before we go to Amitabh and I ask my roster of questions that I've already prepared for him, we also have with us, like always, Hari Shankar and Karunanidhi, co-founder and CTO of HackerRank, the technology hiring platform that is the standard for assessing developer skills over 3,000 plus companies across the world. Prior to HackerRank, Hari has had technology stints with IBM and Novell in Bangalore. Hari, very grateful for you for making time like always.
Thanks, Adil. I have super excited to be here and have a bunch of interesting questions to ask Amitabh. Let you go ahead with first few questions, and then I'm going to go ahead after that.
All right. Thank you, Hari. So, Amitabh, you give us a little background about who you are and what you're doing at Adobe. But before joining Adobe, you worked at Snapdeal as their CTO during their growth phase. This is when they were really exploding. And then you founded a startup of your own called GoFro for over 3 years. We often talk about the difference between working at a startup versus a big tech company as a developer. But I think a lot of developers are curious to know, as I was trying to build questions and talking to a lot of people, how different are the experiences when it comes to leading teams at both these different types of companies at both these very different stages?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and I'm fortunate to have done both, and somehow I managed to find passion for both. They're trying to, at some level, solve very different problems. The kind of challenges that they face are very different, but there's also a bunch of similarity, right, in how you manage and lead the teams here. So let's just first talk about similarities for a bit. The base minimum factor that is must for success is deep rooting in technology. The decision making that happens on top only comes on top and later, but a leader must have good understanding of the technology to be able to make the right decisions. Okay, so that's an extremely important thing. Also related is that you have to be able to solve complex technology problems and have people who are interested in techies specifically and be attracted to your platform so that they can come and solve technology problems with you. Right? So that's the starting point. That's also a similarity. From there on, they go on completely separate journeys. So a startup in the beginning is only trying to find its feet. There's tremendous amount of chaos, and a lot of people who come from large companies find that very unnerving. On the contrary, if in the large company, somebody who comes from a startup is lost, why do we move so slowly? This Why do we have so many processes and such like that? And it's, if you step back, it's in the nature of things that what it takes to make a startup successful is very different from what it makes a large company successful. In a startup, because you're trying to find your feet, because you're trying to find a product, a market fit, and so on and so forth, chaos is your energy. It is your lifeblood. Without chaos, without very rapid iterations and throwing back the notions that were prevalent up until a year back, 2 year back, you will not make it, because you're trying to create a space that didn't exist before, right? So take that with a gusto and actually make it your strength, and do very rapid prototyping and iterative development, fail fast, everything that you would have heard about startup. But remember that those are your strengths, those are not your challenges, right? A large company, on the other hand side, is actually dealing with a very different problem. They have already a large customer base, they have huge revenue coming, and they are struggling to bring about change. Why? Because you have a large customer base, so a customer base is resistant to change, just like everybody else is. There are entrenched feelings. People have done certain things in a certain way, and they are reluctant to change, right? Then bringing in, assimilating new technology, new products from outside is very different. There are specialized departments in large companies that you don't have in a startup, so you have to align all those people in. But like I said, if you have the base of technology on which you form the vision, managing all these becomes relatively easier. And a large company is about retaining the base they already have, and then adding new areas. So transforming in a large company, therefore, is very different from creating something. Now you compare with the startup. Startup might, for example, make product decisions and build a product, wherever the vision is, in, let's say, a matter of quarter to quarter. But then how do you get market? It takes lifeblood to actually get even a few $1 million in revenue. A large company, because of its entrenched base, will find maybe year to year to build the same product, but like that they can get $5 million because of the brand name and this thing. So there are advantages and disadvantages. There are working styles which are different in each, and if you understand the dynamics of a startup and the large company, then you will do well in both places.
Thank you for that, Amitabh. I think the velocity of shipping that you spoke about and thriving in chaos, I think that's like the bedrock of most startups, right? That's how you're able to make things happen in quick time that typically takes like an insane amount of time in other enterprises. So again, thank you for sharing that. And before I move on to my next question, a lot of comments coming in. Thought I'd highlight, ones that are kind of really exciting. So I see that there are a lot of people who are streaming in from all parts of the globe. The ones that I've been able to spot, like I can go to the Indian cities and it's like a huge list. But before I go to the Indian cities, let's talk about a few people that are tuning in from across the globe. Got someone from Arlington, USA. Got someone from Nairobi, Kenya. Someone from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Colombo, Sri Lanka. Jakarta, Indonesia. Los Angeles, California. And then a lot more. So all of you that are tuning in, thank you so much for doing this. Whatever questions you have, put them in as comments wherever you're tuning in from, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. We'll get them in the comment section and we can flash them to Amitabh and have all those questions answered. So please do continue to send in wherever you're tuning in from so that we can share that with Amitabh. Amitabh, we're also seeing people from Noida, Gujarat, Gorakhpur, which is in Uttar Pradesh, Kerala, Bangalore. There's a phenomenal amount of people that are actually tuned in and are tuned in live. Noida, Also, Pragya Raj, which I have never seen for the first time, they're tuning in. There's Ghaziabad, there's Chindwara, there's also Bora, Bokaro Steel City, which is Jharkhand. So awesome to see. So it's kind of people across the world. Kobe, Japan, Mumbai, Rourkela. It's fascinating. Thank you all of you for tuning in. This is very, very cool. So on to my next question, Amitabh. Adobe is an ecosystem in itself and has a lot of product offerings from content creation to content management. Designing, developing, and maintaining an ecosystem of world-class products is supremely different from a single product. What are some challenges and opportunities you've encountered around this at Adobe? I'm sure like developers will be keen to know about this.
Yeah. So, Adobe is actually a leader in that space. And I'll talk in terms of digital experience products. Otherwise, the world is very, very big. See, what has happened is that in the early phases of technology development and all, people went after solving a specific problem, right? And like you said, a single product for a specific problem, right? But after all the areas where problem needed to be solved are solved, customers and our users are wanting the next level, right? So it is no longer how it used to be about, go solve this my this problem digitally, go solve my this problem digitally. It is about the entire business has to run digitally. So I must know who my customer is, where they are, what they are doing, and how can I, based on whatever I know, give them the best user experience with whatever my business was. So the entirety of the business running as a single experience. Now, in the beginning, many companies, what they did was they built a portfolio of products, touching different areas of problem and try to stitch that together. Well, stitching is very, very hard, and that's what people realized. And it works a little bit, but it's a gigantic problem, right? Adobe realized that and took a big bet to create a platform where all the digital data can come in from all the channels, and it's all there together, and then you create very interesting experience on them, right? So let's just first talk about ingestion. We get data from all kinds of channels, whether they are mobile channels like SMS and mobile web, etc., etc., and then web, and then offline experiences and so on, and we put them together. We can even get data which cannot be easily identified. So we find signatures and we can stitch together a profile. So we know that if somebody was on a browser and somebody is somewhere else, then we know, and that's the same person. And therefore, the behavioral data that we get is together, because we have cracked the platform, and we're the only one who really truly have a platform. It's been in the making. It's for some year, and it has landed very big in this space. We are capable of now creating native apps on top of it. So these apps have the entire power of the data even before we start building them, right? And then you actually go and deliver interesting experience through all the channels. So let me, before I go on, talk about giving the unique experience on the channel. Let's see what a typical marketer faces, right? The marketer knows that they have applications on mobile. Their customer comes on the web. They have some deals that they can offer. They have some inventory that they can liquidate and so on, and there's a seasonal thing coming. So they want to say that, can I run offers through email? Of course there are products to do that. Can I give real-time offers on the web? Of course there are products to do that. But all those are disparate experience. And now if I tell you that if somebody opened my mail and the next minute they land on our website, give them that special offer because I know your mail was opened. So what we are combining in the platform is the real-time experience with the offline experience and delivering the experience. So the use cases that you can deliver they are infinite, right? So I can actually send emails which have which goes on to the personalization at scale theme that we have, is that for every individual customer we can say, because this customer has been browsing my site for 30 minutes and he had seen some offer, let me give him a special discount. That is automatic. So multi-channel thing, and it could be an experience delivered from an edge, which means less than 50 milliseconds. Whereas the data collected that we had was maybe 2 days back, the behavioral data that we ended up collecting, right? So we can cut across, the we can take customers on individual journeys which are very specific to them. We can take customer on segment journeys which are a bunch of people who look alike. We can give them outbound experience like in sense of email. We can give them inbound experience, which is if somebody is using the app or browsing the web, real time we pop out. We can do real time and offline, and we can do it on all channels. This is now a real thing, a platform and a shared apps that a marketer can buy from Adobe and give these experience on all these connections at once. And then of course on top of it there is intelligence. These are not raw experience, so we aid them with a lot of intelligence behind the scene. Adobe is the first company in this digital experience space which has successfully done that. A true platform, not calling stitching as a platform.
I've been smiling and just nodding like a madman because that relates so much to me as a marketer. Typically, I'm one of the users of your products, and whatever you're saying makes so much sense. So I'm like frantically making notes. Arey, I didn't think of that. Now I need to go look at that in the product. So again, thank you, Amitabh, for sharing all those amazing perspectives. Hari, I know you've got a ton of questions. I'm going to hand it over to you. But again, for all of those who've tuned in, you've got a question, wherever you're tuning in from, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, leave a comment there. Uh, as your question for Amitabh, we'll get it here, we'll broadcast it here, we'll ask Amitabh that question. All right. And now with that, Hari, over to you.
Thanks, Adil, and thanks, Amitabh, for explaining the whole process, right, and how the whole platform and the difference between stitching pieces together versus building a platform from ground up. Now, what I want to get started with is how AI has seen a ton of major advancements in the recent past, right? Like to take tools like ChatGPT, DALI, Midjourney. You can now sort of imagine an image, describe it, and get that image. Just last week I was trying to get an image of an elephant and a whale fighting. I could type it and generate that. If you want to come up with summarize a blog or expand a blog and whole sort of content in itself, it's revolutionized content marketing, illustrating, and even software development, and we are in the early stages as well, right? Like, so could you tell us more about like what are your future plans for integrating AI into innovative ways into the experience cloud? Like what are the things you are envisioning which we are not able to see now, which we'll be able to see say few quarters, years down the line?
Yeah, so it's a great question. A lot of interest around AI. The moment is very pivotal. Another moment was about 10 years back when all the theory of AI, because of the compute, that we had, became a reality, and we started having, real AI come through. But what has happened in the last 1 year is obviously mind blowing, and the next pivot. And so what it unlocks is a very very big realm of possibilities. Adobe, of course, our AI labs have been at the forefront, so we were developing many of these things even before, and had our own models and foundation model work and etc etc. But what makes Adobe special is, the nature of products and the data we already have. But before I go there, I wanted to give you a little bit context about who we are, even in terms of, or at least my org, in terms of our AI capabilities. Okay, so our labs in Noida have deep penetration in all these areas. So, whether it is media sciences, whether it is content, whether it is data sciences, whether it is large language models, or foundation of ML like explainable AI, sample efficient learning, quantum machine learning. So these are the areas that we have research in. Our teams have hundreds of patents built over several past years. So the latest cutting edge technologies, and we routinely publish in the global publications, CVPR, NeurIPS, etc. We have numerous academic collaborations from around the world: MIT, Georgia, Texas, IITs, Triple IT, and so on. And then we also run a very strong research internship, which, if many of your audiences here may be interested, where we have people from global universities coming and participating. Now, going to answer the specific questions of how we have differentiated capabilities, if I may claim, that are unmatched globally. We have user behavior data. So if you look at, DALI or ChatGPT, basically those models, of course, they are one model to rule them all theoretically, but they're trained on all public data. And what they may be missing is a user specific action or the contextual thing in general, right? We have petabytes of behavioral data. So what that makes is that the models that we can that can power our behaviors is going to include context in it. And if you want to try these questions with some amount of context, and you'll know what I mean. That if you try to have a conversation where the intent of one party is changing all the time, and then you try to find an answer, it will lack context. So for 5 users, it'll give you the same thing, right? Putting in the context through behavioral data opens up a very large realm of possibility. Same is true for on the vision side of it, right? We have hundreds of millions of images with annotations and everything else in our portfolio. So with that special data, we can do more, right? And the third is that we can also marry content with data, because we have both. We have creativity and therefore the computer vision side of things, and then we have behavioral data and therefore the language side of things, as well as data sciences, and we can mix all three and serve very, very interesting use cases, right? We have and therefore we have built a large number of capabilities across all our products, whether it is AEM on the data, on the content side, or whether it's the marketing experience, the customer journey management experience, on the experience side. We have built a large number of uh, you know capabilities related to special journeys, related to special simulation, authoring, ideation, search, what have you. But it's our core capabilities in building AI technology, as well as the data that we have, makes it very special.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that change, the amount of context you have there certainly uh, results in better, say, predictions, better models. If I can deep dive on this, and maybe this is where I want you to be super, say, as creative as you can be, right? Like sort of make a prediction on 5 years or X years down the line. This is what your AI can do, and something our listeners can say, like, can respond with, "Are you crazy?" Like imagine someone talking to me about ChatGPT 5 years back, and I would say, "Are you crazy? Nobody can generate code. Like, you need developers, and you need to hire developers." And today we are seeing it. So if you have to come up with like the most outrageous, you see it, we don't see it because we are call it normal humans, and you're able to see it in the future. What is that one use case which we all can connect to you feel like yes, very much possible, AI can do it, but anything which comes on top of your mind there?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hazard a guess to predict the future. There are a lot of people who do that in astrology, and I'm not one of them. So, so I will never predict the future. What I would say is that the kind of experience that people can hope to get
Mm-hmm.
across all the channels will be mesmerizing. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
a large part of them would be around the generative technologies, which is where most of the power is. Um, this is only a starting point. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at the underlying research that is going on in the world, from the hundreds of billions of parameters that today's foundation models can, process, to the trillions that are in arm's reach,
Mm-hmm.
and probably within the next 5 years or a decade, the possibilities will be immense. So it will become near about impossible to distinguish between real and what is generated. That
Got it.
distinction is that difference is going to reduce farther and farther. And also, like I said, many things will be possible that are not even possible, like experiences across this thing that only a human mind can manage. But other than that, I wouldn't predict the future of us reaching singularity and stuff. I,
Got it.
yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
would
I think
stay
you
away.
used the right word. It's going to be the mesmerizing. That's probably the key there, where it's hard to believe. Switching gears, I mean, maybe closer connected to AI is also how much is personalization is in marketing is super crucial. Gone are the days where you had take a generic template, replace just the name and location, and can blast email to all, and it works. People want to see more relevant content, like, okay, I like traveling to this point of location, and could you send relevant content there? And they want to see brand, and they want brands to show more relevant content to them. And personalization, I know, is a major offering of Adobe's products.
Yeah,
My What I want to understand more is this personalization. How do you do personalization at scale? Because when you add these two words is when things collapse. Like, personalization by definition is you're doing individual one, and when you say at scale, that's where some magic happens. So how do you do that?
yeah. So, long time back in the manufacturing industry, we used to have mass customizations. The two are contradictory terms.
Mhm.
But that those days used to talk about, can you create a custom car for me? And you can do that, but it's, the time it takes from ordering a customer car to getting delivered is months and all. In today's world, the same thing applied to digital is personalization at scale. The two things are contradictory. And how do you do that? And where people want experiences in subsequent. So that's what I was trying to explain. In my opinion, it's impossible to do that unless you have a single platform where all the data sit, and then you have all the channels plugged into it, so that the the user behavior that is manifesting on any channel, any surface, is flowing into it. That's how you best know your user. And then to deliver also, whichever surface, whichever channel the user is coming through is getting that experience. So analyzing user behavior is only one part of it, which is personalization. But a lot of this user behavior itself changes real time. So merging it with real time is extremely important, or else you get only half personalization, right? So for example, if you go and look at on a commerce site a user's order history, you will make certain assessment offline, run your engines to train your models and so on and so forth. You will make certain assessment of what that user purchasing behavior is. But how about if that user comes to purchase something completely new which they have never done before, and doing that browsing and all? You will not get a personalized experience today, right? Why? Because you have to merge all the historical data with the real time instinct, and that's what we have managed to do. Not only can we take all the data and create an intelligence around it, but we can also merge it with real time and give real time experiences for that customer. every customer for a marketeer is unique. They understand that what needs intuitively, they know that if a user does this and in the past they have done that, and this is what my internal state of affairs of business is, then this is the unique thing I can offer. They can define it in English, but implementing it and implementing at scale and implementing it at real time is where the big challenge is. And that's exactly what we've done. Like I said, we have a platform where all the data comes through from all the channels in real time and offline. And then we deliver experiences in real time, from the edge. For example, if you're delivering, somebody is on mobile phone, they will their behavior will be read real time, and their behavior will be captured real time in a matter of milliseconds, and then experience will be delivered from the edge in real time. But it's not just the edge and real time that is there. There is a backend piece which is collecting offline and online data and mixing it all up. And then we, like I said, we can not just predict a customer what they need. And here's the beauty of what we do and the intensity of what we do. Not only can we do a pinpoint experience, which is, let's say, for example, an offer, right? So if a customer behavior is tracked offline and online, and we say that we can give this offer, uh, you know, we can actually take them on individual journeys. So the starting point is not also the end point with an offer and completes. It actually takes them on a journey. We can say, and then if the customer gets into next stage, do this. If they get into the next stage, do this. So we can also take them on personalized journeys. So
Got
I
it.
think that's
That's
in a
yeah,
nutshell
that's
what
interesting.
we have been able to
Yeah.
manage.
Sometime I would love to maybe we should set up a whole call to talk about the architecture of this, because this sounds very fascinating. The engineer or architect in me is excited about, okay, you have this historical data and you can of course make predictions on that, and now you have this real time. If draw seeing that flow in a whiteboard, I think a lot of our users would sometime would want to know, saying, how did you manage to do this? Because this seems to be maybe the same. If you want to mix personalization and scale to things which are opposite, you need to mix two opposite technologies as well, and make a mix out
Indeed,
of it. And it looks like you've done that really, really well.
indeed,
So sometime later we should get you on this to talk just about this, and make you draw the architecture diagram as much as you can share. That would be fantastic.
indeed,
um, yeah, and we spoke a lot about data, and because you deal with so much of data, right? And this is I'm CISO at HackerRank, so I'm curious to know your walk us through the data privacy and security policies followed by the organization, especially in the development process. Like, how do you ensure your data privacy policies and practices are up to date and in line with your industry standards regulations? How do you communicate that within the organization and ensure it's being practiced as the organization evolves? So could you shed some light on the entire data privacy and security things you have?
of course, of course. And but before I go there, I would remind our listeners that for us, security and privacy is one order magnitude higher compared to a company that is directly dealing with users, because we are a B2B SaaS company. So we are not only accountable to the end user, but we are accountable to our customers, big businesses, who themselves have their own standards of security. And whenever they will buy our products, they will subject us to their rigorous standards. And because we serve a very large number of customers around the world, we have to manage both. And then finally, we have to also be compliant with the governments because we operate globally, right? So we have a very well laid out governance structure, Hari, inside Adobe, that has teams, processes, structures, tools, everything very well defined. And security and privacy are huge things for us, and we invest a lot in ensuring that our customers get that. So we have a common controls framework which is publicly published on what are the things that we do around security. In terms of the product development, we have a very rigorous process during development that ensures all products remain compliant and secure. So secure product lifecycle is something that we have defined in terms of process, where we have all kinds of technologies to do OWASP vulnerabilities, offensive testing, tools for denial of service, web access firewalls to allow certain kind and block others, and so on and so forth. Then we have all our products through the globally known compliance standards for SOC 2, ISO 2000, 27001, PCI, FedRAMP. For the healthcare industry, we are HIPAA compliant. In terms of privacy, we are GDPR and CCPA compliant. We follow data residency rules and local government laws across the board, across all products. Then we have, in case of an incident, we have a security operations center, which is a state of art forensic lab, and is all the time engaged in identifying potential vulnerabilities, as well as routine audits that we do. The world for us in terms of technology landscape is very, very big, and we have a very detailed governance structure. Every product team also has security teams, and they go through rigorous training. They go through categorization. For example, we have our internal standards for black belt, brown belt, security and levels, and we go through those training. Have our security teams go through the training, as well as all general developers also go through a well laid out training.
Got it. That list seems impressive on the list of the compliance and certifications. It feels like you name it, we have it kind of a list where you went through every domain and everything needed there.
And like
You
I said,
spoke.
one
Yeah.
of the reasons why that is true is because we are not only accountable for end users, we are
Mm-hmm.
accountable to companies who themselves have invested
Mm-hmm.
in making sure that their customers are safe, secure, and have their privacy taken care of. Which means that we automatically, if we have to exist in that market, become a union of
Mm-hmm.
all the security standards that our customers follow.
Got it. You spoke a little bit about this. You mentioned there is that internal training, and you have this black belt, brown belt level. Could you shed some more light on that? Like these are the things which probably the companies and people who are listening can take from that. And I'm also excited to see what can I implement here at HackerRank. So I have a personal reason for this question. Like, how did you set that process? What is it that what do you have in place in those? Is it the levels you have internally for
Yeah,
security
yeah.
certifications?
So there are things that one needs to be aware of at a very basic level. You can even Google up things
Mhm.
and start becoming aware and go through. So we have training, specialized trainings and all. And levels would generally be defined by so at some level we train all our developers who go through that training. So basic level of how to write secure code, how to get a first level scan done, and make sure how to fix the vulnerabilities. But complexity goes up when the hackers who are actually doing the hacking are very sophisticated, and therefore the people who attend to those things also have to go through various levels of security trainings. The highest level, of course, would be somebody who knows pretty much everything, from, like I said, OWASP vulnerabilities to how the encryption works, to how the DDoS works, to how the web access firewall rules and everything else is set up, and such. So they would be masters at sort of all domains: how to manage certificates, how to manage passwords, how to do those encryptions, how to store them securely, how to transfer them, how to allow customers to actually, a lot of our customers are interested in actually bringing their own security in. So then you have to make sure that their security is secure,
Mhm.
right? Because they don't want even Adobe to know what their security tokens are. So then we have to manage and put it in a way where their security is secure with us. So
Got it.
depending on the level, the more knowledgeable the team members is, and it's also a function of resource, right? Uh, if you look at all the large hacks that have happened in the world, 95% of the hacks that happen in the world are very common ones,
Mhm.
right? That are known, that are published, they're happening, but people still forget, right? So the base level training and the next level training and such, and then some of them are really complex and hard to crack, and then where we have our experts.
Got it. Got it. That clarifies a lot of things. My next question again is on, how do you integrate new technologies, and how do you ensure there are updates to the user experience, and mainly because like Adobe Experience Cloud is all about customer experience technology, which helps business create their personalized experiences for all your customers, and which means you need to constantly try out new technologies or keep upgrading some of the technologies you already have. And somehow, I mean, I've seen enough developers like upgrades are not the ones which they're super excited about. Trying out new is fine, but as long as it just stays new, like when you after a point you want to try out even new. So how do you marry these two together, like ensuring like your experiments with new technology, and process of upgrading what you have already integrated? uh, what's your process with Adobe?
Well, probably one of the things that they face as one of the so actually one of the biggest challenges is exactly that,
Hmm.
especially because we are in a B2B SaaS space,
Hmm.
and because we have a large customer base that we have to take along. So change, when it needs to be proven as something of value, is very easy to get, and we have a lot of ways in which we give space to our engineers to innovate and try out new things and such. And so they do go on to try out new things and are able to demonstrate value. The cost is the bigger challenge. The customers don't want disruption, they're just experiencing something and they don't care what technology you really use behind. It's your custom, or it's something out from the world, and so on and so forth. And your internal stakeholders also do not want a lot of disruption. And in a B2B SaaS world that too very big and mature, the number of stakeholders are also a lot. That said, I mean, that is what I was talking in the beginning about my experience, that if you are able to lay a clear foundation of vision in terms of technology, then you will be able to push it through, right? It's not going to be painless. And so you must have some appetite for, risk taking. You must have some appetite for, getting pushed around. But eventually, if you persist and if you have a clear foundation of technology vision, all these things can be managed. I mean, of course, a lot of this comes from experience, and that's not easily translatable, but it is doable because I've led many of these things in the past, both within Adobe and outside. The second thing is what comes naturally and is it's a force multiplier, is that Adobe itself is a very large technology company, right? Which means that the latest technology that are getting developed in newer companies, there is keenness to participate from both sides, right? So if let's say we are trying, a Snowflake, we have deep partnership where Snowflake is as keen to be with us as we would be to use their technology, right? And we will be able to influence the roadmap, as you're saying, right? We can influence because of the big base we and have deeper partnership for them to attend to our needs. There also, I think that there's a company level weight you have, but it eventually falls down to the technology leader. So I'll give you an example. that goes dates back 20 years back when I was an architect at Wells Fargo, and we are trying to build, at that time it was the one of the largest Java based web services in the world, and we were getting into problems in the JVM that other customers never had. And same was true for WebSphere at a web server level. And because of the size of the organization, HP JVM lab engineers would sit with me, and WebSphere developers would sit with me, and all of us will together go on to make this mission successful. We as a company would build great products, end up improving their products. So HP released 13 versions of JVM for me. And IBM found, WebSphere found so many problems. But there has to be a driving force in the leader who can actually bring all these parties together. And we're fortunate if we are in a large company, then all these technology players are very keen, because they will also not get to mature their technologies anywhere else better than at our place. The key is the people who are running the initiative have to be in the know of technology deep. So I had to know Java internals. I had to know the internals of operating system. I had to know the internals of networking to be able to suggest that there's this challenge with the JVM.
Got it.
So
Got
so
it.
like that. So we go deep into their technologies. They go relatively deep into ours, and then we solve the most complex problems. And that's how our stacks become more mature.
Got it. Cool. You started with the intro. You're techie at heart, and whenever I hear that, I have three rapid fire questions. So I'll stop with that. Your favorite programming language, your favorite editor, your favorite OS, and if you can, why? And after that, back to other.
Well, I've lived through Java a lot, so that's what my
Mhm.
favorite, most favorite language, and I'm fortunate that that much of world runs on that. Your second question was, sorry?
Editor.
Editor, I've only used Eclipse. In the beginning, I had used NetBeans, but
Mhm.
Eclipse is the only one. And more recently, I was teaching my son Java. I was using the same.
Mhm.
So that's the only
Eclipse.
one I
Okay.
know now. And
And the
third,
last one is OS, operating system.
operating system is Linux.
Linux.
That's what
Okay.
I
Which flavor of Linux? Like, do you have a preference on Ubuntu, Fedora, Red Hat, and so on, or you're
nothing particular, but I had great experiences with Red Hat. For
Red Hat?
large part of my career, Red Hat has been my, where I have played around the most. And then, of
Right.
course, CentOS, which was, you know, on the cloud. Yeah.
So, yeah. Got it. Got it. Adil, back to you. Those. I know you have few questions, so go to you.
Thank you, Hari. I mean, a lot of questions coming in from the audience. One particular thing that a lot of people want to know, and I've kind of distilled a summary of this, is like, what does a day in the life of a developer look like at Adobe?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question, and I would say that I would crystallize it in terms of Adobe's core values, and those are create the future, own the outcome, raise the bar, and be genuine. And that basically is reflective of what a developer's life, whether it's an entry level developer or one of the senior most principal scientists that we have in our organization. So create the future. We have tremendous support for innovation and trying out new things, so much so that we have a week in the year, or where developers can go and do anything and build out of the product and interesting ideas and form teams and build stuff, and a large number of that ends up in products, so it becomes real, right? We of course talked about working on cutting edge tech. We talked about a large number of patents that developers gain, and the publications that they go to. Then owning the outcome, the next value. Every day, I think the number one priority for them would be customer issues. So customer centricity is very, very core to developers, and if there's a customer issue, it will take top priority on a daily basis until that is resolved. And then related is ownership of the product. What you build is what you live with. You're totally responsible as an owner for that, and it's not that I build something and then throw it over the wall. We highly encourage people to be owner. Raising the bar, I would say, I would, in terms of learning and working. So the raising bar could be the developer can hope to learn in a great nurturing environment, in an environment where there are tremendous tools for learning, and you get to work with the best people in the world, like the creator of REST and the creator of Photoshop and the creator of PDF, right? Those are the people in company of whom you will be working. And of course we have budgets and everything else for any kind of training, whether technology or management, that people want to go and do. And final is being genuine. So I feel there's a reason why we have been top ranked in best places to work for a long time. And we are very, very focused on being honest and having the highest integrity. And there is zero tolerance otherwise. But in a very empathetic way, people are encouraged to inculcate those values, as well as understand the importance of those values. And this is who we are. So that is how a developer's life is best translated on a daily basis in terms of Adobe values of creating the future, owning the outcome, raising the bar, and being genuine.
Amazing. Thank you, Amitabh. This has been such a phenomenal conversation. And with that, looks like it's 1 o'clock. We're just on the brink of time. So with that, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Amitabh, for making time. This certainly was a bar raiser for us, just like one of those Adobe values. We really enjoyed this live stream. Big thank you, Hari, for making time as well. And with that, we'll see you around soon. Again, thanks everyone, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Adil. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Hari.
you.
Love
Thank you.
being with you
Thanks,
guys.
Amitabh.
Bye.